Have you ever worried about losing or breaking your hooks, needles, or notions while you're traveling? We're going to talk about some solutions today. Hello, hello, and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. Welcome. I am so glad you're here. I would love it if you would like this video, subscribe to my channel, share the love, and help grow our community. That would be just so wonderful. Today I'm going to wear my Dylan shawl. This is one of my new shawls. It's part of my vacation collection, which is a collection of shawls and accessories that are perfect for using yarn that you purchased on vacation, so lots of one skein wonders, or for working up on vacation, which means they're really relaxing makes. So I'm going to go ahead and take the point, center it in front, wrap it around, zhuzh my front here a little bit so it's away from my neck and is laying more flat with the point facing down. And then I'm just going to tie the front here. And then I have these nice long ends, and I'm just going to create a simple bow. Maybe? Yes? There we go. Simple little bow. I just think it's so fun. And then I kind of zhuzh that over the top, so it's on the top and the bottom. I just think it's fun. This yarn is from Euphoria Knits. It's a local dyer. It's a yarn that I picked up when I was on vacation. I love grabbing yarns from dyers that are local to where I'm visiting. And links will be in the show notes below. Links to the introduction video with lots of great ways to style this. Links to the yarn and all the good things. The pattern too. All right, so let's dive right into the question of the day. I'm always nervous about losing or breaking something while I'm traveling somewhere where I don't have access to buying more. What's the best way to avoid this? The fear is real. I am a bit of a nervous traveler, and I always ease my mind by saying, there's Target everywhere, Sarah. It's fine. If you forget something, you'll just go to Target. But A, there isn't Target everywhere. And B, there's definitely not a craft store everywhere where you could just go pick something up if something happens. So I totally get this concern. So I have a few suggestions of how to avoid this so that you can craft comfortably in your travels. My first suggestion is to, before you go, get really organized. Have a place for everything and put everything in its place. So when it comes to packing notions, these tins are my go-to. When I'm at home, I'll often have multiple of these tins all filled up with everything I need, and I'll just toss them into my individual project bags. But when I'm traveling, I don't want to take that much with me, and so I'll fill one of these with everything I could possibly need for all of my projects. Having all of my notions in one place is super helpful while I'm traveling because it's one thing to keep track of and one place to look for everything and then one place to put everything back into so that I know where everything is. I love these little tiny scissors because they fit inside my tin. They're nice and sharp, can cut any of the yarn that I need. And so that's one of the first things I'll stick into my tin. If you're traveling on an airplane, I recommend one of these yarn cutters. They can easily go through security, look very non-threatening, and so they can be a great thing to take along in lieu of scissors if you're worried about them being taken. As you can see, that also fits perfectly into my tin, but when I'm traveling, I'll definitely take one or the other. The next thing I put in are stitch markers. I like to take a really wide variety of stitch markers. These lever stitch markers are probably my favorite, so I will toss those in. I use them to keep hold of my live stitches as I'm getting going. These are also really helpful. They can hold a bit more than the other lever stitch markers. They stay closed a little more easily. You can yank on these and they won't come open. So I will usually take a couple of those, just for good measure, a couple tiny ones. And then maybe some with the lobster clasps. Those are just stinking adorable. This guy's a coffee bean. The thing I take most of are stitch markers because they're more likely to get lost, and so I want to have plenty of them. Another important tip, especially with stitch markers, is if there's anything that you're really attached to, I would not take it traveling with you because they are most likely to get lost. I always take with me just a medium-sized tapestry needle. I find that this takes care of most of my projects. You could bring multiple tapestry needles, though, if you need different widths. And then to help me keep track of it, I just take a crocheted earring that I've worked on in the past, and I run my needle through the crocheted earring. It doesn't have to be an elaborate earring like this, and it could even just be a swatch of fabric, but I find that this helps me know where my needle is because those needles are so small and so easy to get lost. Stick that in there, close it up, and all of my notions are contained in this one little tin. The next thing you need is a place for your hooks. Now, I will often, because I'm sometimes designing when I travel, take a whole set of hooks. I always check to make sure that my full set is in my hook case before I take it along, because I've made that mistake before. But most often when you're traveling, you don't need a full set of hooks. So a pencil case is a great solution for taking a few hooks that you can keep them all together, or you can choose to not take a hook case and just keep them all in with your projects. Don't forget that if you have hooks that are more likely to break, like a wooden hook or even an acrylic hook, it doesn't hurt to put it in its own special case that is more rigid and designed to keep it from breaking. You could even take this case and slip it inside the pencil case or your project bag. If I am bringing multiple things like my notions tin and my hooks all separately, I do like to slip them inside a bigger bag so that everything has its place and can be contained in something a little bit larger that's easy to find. Once I have all of my notions packed up and organized, I like to give each project its own project bag. So I will go ahead and find a project bag that's appropriately sized for each project that I'm taking, and I will place all of the yarn and the hook into that project bag so that that's all together. If I'm taking several projects along with me, sometimes I'll go ahead and get an even larger bag to put all of the project bags and the notions in together so that it's all organized in one space. With bags upon bags of organization, I find it helps keep me organized to know where everything is, where everything can be put back so that I don't lose or break any of my precious, precious crafting supplies. Then, when you're on your travels, I just encourage you to be really meticulous. Now that you have a little place for everything to go, make sure that every time you work on your project, that you are putting things back in their place the minute you are done. So that means if you've got a project bag, it's got your yarn, it's got your hook, it's got your notions. Let's say you sit down, you take out your project and your hook, somebody needs you, instead of just setting everything down where you are, take it, put it back in your project bag. When it comes time to weave in ends, use your tapestry needle. Always, always stick it back in your notions container before you walk away. Those little things like tapestry needles are so, so easy to lose. I don't know about you, but one of the things I lose the most are stitch markers. I take them out of my live stitch when I get started, and I often just set them around wherever I'm sitting, whether it's at a coffee table or in the chair next to me. They just get set down, and it's so easy for them to get knocked, to get lost in a couch cushion. So instead of doing that, I encourage you to take your stitch marker off. A zipper of a project bag is a great place to hook your stitch marker so that it won't get lost. But if you have cinch bags and so there's no zipper to attach to, you can either stick it in a pocket inside the project bag, stick it in your notions container, or just clip it somewhere else on your project so that it'll be right there with your project and will have less likelihood of getting dropped or walked away with or knocked. And then my last little bit of advice is that if you have the room and space, take a couple extras. You may or may not have extra hooks or needles, but we usually have extra things like tapestry needles and stitch markers. So go ahead and take a bunch of those. So if something does get lost, it's not going to hold up your progress on your project. All right, I want to give you one little bonus tip about traveling with yarn, and this is about traveling with finished items. I love to take my finished items and wear them when I'm traveling, but I'm always nervous about them getting caught on things, whether it's something that's also packed in my suitcase, like a button or a zipper on pants, or my biggest fear biggest fear is that I'm going to zip the suitcase. And you know that feeling when you catch on something? My biggest fear is that what I'm catching on will be my handmade item and that I will ruin it. So my solution to that is that I always pack my handmade items in a duster bag. A duster bag is something that you get with fancy purses. I bought some really nice leather purses a while back, but I always use them, so I never put them in the duster bag. So now the duster bags that came with them live in my luggage, and anytime I pack up my handmade items, they go in a duster bag so that they are safe and protected from other things in my suitcase and from potentially getting zipped up inside my suitcase zipper. If you don't have a duster bag laying around, don't worry. There are lots of other things that can work exactly like a duster bag. You could pack them inside a project bag. I don't know about you, but I have plenty of those. Put them inside a Ziploc bag. This is more protective because it's also waterproof, but also I don't love my stuff being packed in plastic. So that's a bit of personal preference, but obviously they are very widely available. If you want to have a designated bag for when you travel, you could very easily pick up a muslin bag on Amazon for super cheap and keep a few of those inside your luggage. Like I keep my duster bag in my luggage so that you have a designated place for your handmade items when you travel. I hope that these tips help you to travel with less stress so that you can really enjoy your vacations and travels. All right, let's talk small businesses. I'm drinking from my mug today that is by The Speckled Cloud. Love this one. This is just the coolest technique, and it holds a whole ton of coffee, which always makes me happy. I'm wearing some really fun earrings today. They're like a little macrame earring. They are a lot of fun. I always get compliments when I wear them. I have 3 pair from this company, and they're really lightweight. They're very well made. They stiffen the little fringe here so that it stays put for longer. I am noticing that with lots of wear, obviously, these are getting a little less stiff. I don't know a good word for that. But I have some stiffening spray that I use when I crochet earrings, and I have a feeling that that's going to work perfect to freshen these up a little bit. These earrings are from Made by Moonlight Co. Links to all the small businesses will be in the show notes below. I do want to warn you, though, with these guys, they are slow to ship. It's been a while since I purchased my earrings, so hopefully they've caught up a little bit, but they are incredibly reasonably priced. So it wouldn't surprise me if they are also incredibly popular. So just if you want them for a specific occasion, for a gift, or to wear them somewhere specifically, like maybe vacation, make sure you order plenty in advance so that they arrive in time. Announcements, you guys, I cannot believe we're almost at the end of June. WIP wrap up is wrapping up. If you haven't joined us yet, it's not too late. There are a few more days to share WIPs that you've wrapped up this month. And here's the secret. They don't have to be old WIPs. I would love it if you would be encouraged to finish up an old WIP, but if you finished anything this month, you can share it with Inside. You can share it inside the Facebook or the Discord group and be entered to win any of the prizes that we have. So lots of fun. Join us. It's a great time. I want to let you know that I'm going to be taking next week off. It's the 4th of July here in the United States. So some celebrating time. My husband has some time off. It's our 20th anniversary. So I'm going to take the week to just relax and then also prepare for the rest of the month because my nephew is coming to stay with us for a week and we have some travel plans then to visit family. And I really want to spend that time just being relaxed and focused on my family. So next week, no new episode, but I will be back the next week with a new episode. For July, we're going to be talking Christmas in July. I am not doing a crochet along. I am not encouraging you to actually start your Christmas presents. However, if that's something you enjoy, you do you. We're going to be talking about organizing and stressing less during the holidays. So if you have any questions about that, I'd love it if you drop them in the link below in the show notes for asking questions. That just helps me stay really organized and then will help me prepare to give you the kind of information that you want to know. All right, this is like a little personal storytelling time, so I hope you'll stick around. I have some fun things to share, but if not, have a great week. We'll see you next week. My friends, I take an annual girls trip with my Crochet Miss Crew friends. It fluctuates who gets to travel with us depending on the year, but we try to get together once a year in the summer and spend some time together. We are online friends all year long, but it is so wonderful to see people in person and hug their faces and just spend some kid-free time together. We did that this last weekend and it was absolutely amazing. I want to share with you just some of the crafty things we did. We had a full weekend of fun stuff, but that would take an hour to tell you all about it. So we're just going to talk about the crafty stuff. We spent a day in downtown Chicago and we visited four yarn shops. The first yarn shop we visited was called Yarnify. I will confess to you that I am geographically challenged. I did the driving and I still couldn't tell you, is this north of Chicago? Is it south of Chicago? East, west, right downtown? I don't know. What I can tell you is that this was a very cute little store. It is packed full of yarn, but not in a really cluttered way. I've definitely walked into yarn shops that there has been so much yarn that you wonder if the original skein they bought to start the shop is still there. That was not the case. It was very well organized, but there was a lot of product in there. We got to talk with the owner, and she is absolutely lovely, very welcoming, very crochet and knit friendly, which is always something I'm looking for when I enter a yarn shop. And they had a whole entire rack of local dyers, which is so much fun. I say local dyers because it wasn't just Chicago or Illinois dyers, but a little more Midwest dyers, which is still fantastic. I will say with them being downtown, it was a bit of a sticker shock. Prices were a bit higher than I'm used to. And as someone pointed out to me, you have to keep in mind that Chicago sales tax is quite a bit higher than what I'm used to as well. But I enjoyed the store so much, saw lots of yarns that I had never seen before, and I highly recommend giving them a visit. The next shop we went to was Nina Chicago. Again, no clue whereabouts this is, but you can look up their address on the website if you'd like to visit them. This is a very, what I would consider famous yarn shop. They've got that make wall that lots of people instantly recognize. I've been to this shop several times, and it's a really beautiful shop. It's nice and open. I was finding, though, that they didn't have a lot of new yarn. So it's not a shop that I would probably need to visit again if I go back to Chicago anytime soon. But if it's your first time, it's definitely worth a stop. I will say I find the staff every time I go in there less than bubbly and welcoming. They're maybe a little more quiet and definitely not as crochet friendly. While they do have knit and crochet samples, one of my friends noticed that on the tags that they had identifying the work, if it was a knit item, it was just the pattern and the information about the pattern. And with the crochet items, it noted that it was crochet. And she felt, and I agree, that that's kind of indicating that knitting is the default and crochet is something unusual. So would love to see a change there and maybe a slightly more welcoming atmosphere. Next, we visited a gorgeous shop that we have visited before, but I absolutely love. It's called Knit One. And even though the name indicates knitting, they were very, very friendly and welcoming to both knitters and crocheters. They enjoyed having us in. They were super chatty, and they have a really beautiful space. It's nice and open with a big table in the middle where people are welcome to sit and crochet or knit, work on their projects. But then they have a really nice selection of yarn all around the shop. Okay, before I start pulling stuff out of here, I have to show you my beautiful basket of yarn. It's so pretty, but I'm going to take all the yarn out of here and show it to you. So when we asked about local yarn at Knit One, they pointed us to Plucky Knitter. And man, I just really love gorgeous colors. I purchased Charming and Rogue, and they are really gorgeous and squishy. You should be so proud of me. These are their light sport. Didn't I tell you? And I told the ladies this weekend, only sport weight and DK weight yarn. So these are their Luxe Merino Light Sport. There's 330 yards to 105 grams, and they're 100% ultrafine merino. They are so soft and just the most gorgeous colors. Definitely these will become a shawl. The next shop we literally swung into right before they were closing was Firefly Fiber Arts Studio. That's a mouthful, but it's a really cute little shop. We swung in real fast right before they were going to close, and they were really gracious. We definitely promised to be out of there before closing time, and we were successful. They were rearranging their shop, so things were in a bit of upheaval, but they did have a nice open feel to them. Can you tell I don't love a cluttered yarn shop? So it was nice and open, lots of yarn on the walls and in some shelving around. They had knitted and crocheted samples, which was always wonderful to see. They were redoing one of their yarn walls because they've just got in yarn from a collaboration between them and a local dyer to make a house yarn, which is really fun. I love being able to see house yarns at a yarn shop. It's just really special. The person they were collaborating with was Distortion Fiber Arts, and I love her. She has gorgeous yarn, so it was so fun to see that collaboration between two local shops. When we asked for local dyers, this was one of the people they pointed us to. I could not pass up this yarn. It is DK weight. Aren't you proud of me? And Gritty Ray Knits is a Michigan dyer, so not local to Illinois, but local to the Midwest. This colorway is called Mommy's Makeup Bag. One of the things I love about shopping at an actual yarn shop is that there was some variety in the saturation of the skeins. So I grabbed the two most saturated skeins because I love color. These are 100% superwash merino, 231 yards per 100 grams. I'm linking to all the yarn shops and all of the dyers down below, so you don't have to go search them out. As the day was wrapping up and we had done lots of sightseeing and lots of yarn shopping, our hostess with the mostest, Ashley, kind of surprised us with a macrame class. You guys, it was so much fun. This is what I made. I really love it. It is my first attempt ever at macrame, and I have to say it was not as hard as I thought it would be, which was a lot of fun. We went to, I want to get this right because she was amazing. We went and took a class at Indigo and Violet Studio, which was in Chicago, and the owner was wonderful to work with. She taught the class, and it was just so much fun. The wonderful and marvelous Ashley surprised us with another little craft to learn. She got us all wool felting kits. You guys, we sat at a coffee shop for 3 hours and did these. It was so much fun. I didn't finish mine, but I'm really in love. You just needle felt the wool onto this felt piece, and then they've got a frame to put it in. I think I'm going to add some trees and some flowers and probably a sheep, if I'm being honest, to mine. I can definitely see myself doing this more. One of the things I am learning this summer is that I need to slow down a little bit with business things and really embrace some more things that bring me joy. Not that my crochet business doesn't bring me joy, but I used to be a person who did lots of crafts, and I want to get back into that. So this is definitely a craft I'm going to be doing more of. On my drive home, I could not pass up visiting just one more yarn shop, and so I stopped by Cream City Knits, which is in Milwaukee, which I drive through on my way home. Cream City Yarn doesn't have quite as open a feel as some of the other yarn shops I went into, but they've managed to put a lot of yarn in their shop without it feeling claustrophobic. It's all very well organized on nice shelving units. There's a lot to see when you go in there, and the staff has always been very friendly to me. The one thing I noticed when I visited this time was that there weren't a lot of hand-dyed, variegated, or speckled yarns in their collection. I thought this was really interesting because in my mind, buying hand-dyed yarn is an opportunity to get those color combinations of variegated and speckled yarn that you just don't see in big box stores. And people, especially those who are newer to hand-dyed yarn, tend not to lean into the tonal yarns because you can kind of mimic those in less expensive yarns. This also might have stood out to me because I was looking for a very, very specific yarn with a black base and bright speckles, which I did not find this weekend. So I'm going to have to keep an eye out for that. If you spot one, let me know. But after I did a lap around the shop and realized I wasn't going to find the speckled yarn I was looking for, I went ahead and started squishing all the other yarns, and I found some amazing yarns. I got 3 skeins of this gorgeous yarn from North Bay Fiber. Can you see? It's DK. Yay! And I love that this is 100% sourced, spun, and dyed in America, which is super cool. This is also from Michigan and spun in Michigan and hand dyed in Michigan, which is so cool. This is a really light and squishy yarn. I love it so much. And I got this gorgeous color. This is called Algae, and this is called Watershed. And I got 2 of the teal. As I was walking around, my eyes kept being drawn back to these skeins of yarn. They had a whole bunch of these. They had daylights and moonlights, night lights. They were light colors and dark colors, and they were spun with just little flecks and speckles. And I didn't find any of the darker colors that I really love, so I went with these 2 lighter colors. They are American Cormo by, oh gosh, Harrisville Designs. I'm like, what does HD stand for? By Harrisville Designs. I was a little bummed that they didn't have 2 of the same colorway in colors that I liked, which you might be looking at these and being like, I don't see a colorway. But this one has some blue and gray in it. See the little speckles? And then this guy's little speckles has some purple and pink in it. So whatever I do, I think I'll just alternate skeins, and I think it'll be a real subtle stripe, which I think will be just gorgeous. These are DK weight. They're 250 yards per 100 grams. Gorgeous squishiness. Can't wait to use them. Did I need more yarn? No. Did I buy it anyways? Obviously. I am really proud of myself, though, that I stuck to my DK weight and sport weight yarn. So those were definitely sections of my stash that needed a little boosting. So they've been boosted. So those were my yarny adventures. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. Lots of small businesses shared in this, so please check out the yarn shops. Check out the yarn dyers and spinners and whatnot. All of the links are down below in the show notes, so you don't have to go hunt them down. Lots and lots of great small businesses to support. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing week with lots of crafting. Remember, next week I'm going to be off, so we'll see you in 2 weeks, and happy crafting.